Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I want to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. It was called Rubicon, and I use the term I want to talk about lightly because, as I've said before, I don't really want to talk about this. But I feel it's necessary because Star Trek is just bad now, and we have to say it. This episode was not as glaringly horrible as the last two. The last two were so dumb and so out of touch with the Star Trek universe that it was really mind-boggling. But this one didn't do as much of that. So there's that, but it was still bad. And let's just get into it. It starts off where we see Book and Tarka together on Book's ship, and now they've got the isolinium, and they're building the weapon that they should have had built before he even announced the plan, which is ridiculous. But they're handling this material pretty much with their bare hands. So their hands are bare, and they're using a set of tongs to like hold this little piece of material. And while they're doing this, they're talking about how volatile it is, even in small amounts. And like, okay, so why aren't you like behind a blast shield with, because, you know, even in modern day real life, when they handle volatile material or dangerous materials anyway, they'll have the hazmat on, and they've got the big gloves and the tongs, and they're manipulating it like through a hole in a wall, but they're protected by a thing. And no, this incredibly horrible volatile, I should say, substance, and they're just using a pair of tongs with it like it's a charcoal briquette. It's just dumb. But then we jump over to Discovery, where we see that Book has sent a hologram message to Michael in response to a message that she sent to him, where she explains, you know, it's not a weapon, it's just a mining rig. And he says, okay, well, I accept that it's just a mining rig, but, you know, and maybe they didn't mean to hurt people, but we still have to blow it up to protect everyone. And yeah, we also have to do it in a way that could kill a whole bunch of people. Because whether they mean it or not, they killed a whole bunch of people by accident. So, like, really? I wasn't buying that. I mean, it's just, Tarka, yes, I could believe him saying that. A psychopath, yes, I could believe them saying that. Someone like Khan, I could believe them still being like, nope, still gonna blow him up. Book, no, didn't buy it. Anyway, we next have a scene where the Admiral is telling Michael that he's sending someone along on this mission to stop Book in order to keep an eye on her because she's so close to the situation and might, you know, engage her emotions instead of her mind, and might end up being emotionally compromised and not able to pull the trigger, as it were, which he says he's doing because he has no choice but to send her, because Discovery is the best ship to handle the situation, mainly because it can jump, but probably who knows what else. I guess because she knows Book so well, it's both blessing and curse. And she says, you know, are you saying you're going to take me out of command, you know, if I don't toe the line? Or he just comes right out and says it. But either way, the point is, this person will have the authority upon his orders, you know, with the full authority of his advance orders, to take her command and do what needs to be done. And she says, well, isn't that Mr. Saru's job? And and the Admiral says, well, yeah, but he knows Book too, and you know, he's not necessarily reliable either. And it's like, yeah, well, the whole command crew knows Book. So like, if we're gonna, like, Saru's not, you know, going to bed with him. So like, why wouldn't that be good enough? And it seemed like they were forgetting that the chief medical officer could also take her out if she were medically compromised or emotionally compromised. So why are they doing it? I mean, the person ends up being Commander Nan, who is back from the last time we saw her, which I guess was she was just left in that place, and then she was going to try to connect with her people. But anyway, good to see her. She's a cool character. But I think maybe they just wanted to bring her back for some reason. I don't know. Or I guess they wanted to have the person who was going to end up calling or second guessing Michael not be Saru or the doctor. They wanted to be an outside person, which isn't usually what happens. whenever a captain ends up needing to be removed from duty or whatever, it's by someone already on the ship. And I guess in this case, they had the advanced knowledge of, okay, it might happen, so let's send someone. But like, that's not normally what would happen. They would just tell Dr. Culber, you know, you need to keep an eye on the captain and maybe the first officer. But then would it have come up that he's too close? Like, what, you know, I don't know. It just all seemed silly. At some point, you have to trust your people. Anyway, the other thing I thought was that, you know, if Discovery were the best ship, why wouldn't they just give command to someone else, someone from outside the ship, someone who doesn't know book, and have Michael there as a consultant for this one mission? If the ship was the important thing and her knowledge were the important thing, the person could be completely detached. Why didn't the admiral take command? Like, obviously, the reason is because they want to set up the later plot where Michael has to make the tough call or risk being removed from command. They wanted that for drama purposes, but it doesn't make sense in the Starfleet world because that's not what they would do. Anyway, Commander Nam, for some reason, is part of the Starfleet Security Division, and she's wearing black instead of, I guess, yellow or whatever, but that didn't make any sense. Anyway, before the mission gets underway, Saru meets with the Navarre president by hologram to do a meditation, and it doesn't really work out. And they talk about other things he can do to make himself feel better about not knowing how to comfort his adopted ward there, whose name I forget, Sukal, I guess, the dilithium child, who I guess is worried about the DMA and says that, you know, whatever he wants to do, she would participate and try to help him. And of course, the whole scene is very flirty because they're intent on doing this thing between them, but I think it's entirely unnecessary and ridiculous. Also, she's a Vulcan, and, you know, we don't know really what happens to female Vulcans in terms of how they experience their sexuality. We've never really seen them do or did we? Have we seen a Vulcan woman go through Pon farr? I can't remember now. I'm saying we haven't, but it's probably not true. They may have done it with DePaul. I'll have to look. But anyway, supposing they did, either way, this is dumb, right? Because she's clearly not doing that. She's not having like the blood fever or any of that. And if they don't, then how is it just always there and they're just like humans where they experience attraction and feel flirty and do in fact flirt? I mean, we've never seen that either. So how, you know, on what planet does this make sense? Because it certainly doesn't make sense on Navarre. For a Vulcan. The Romulan population, maybe, but not a Vulcan. They don't behave that way. Unless that's all gone out the window in the last 1,000 years, but I don't remember them saying that, so I don't get it. Really don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, Discovery and the shuttle end up both engaging a cloaking device when they get near the DMA, which I suppose we knew before this that they've had a cloak ever since they arrived in this century, but they've yet, even now, to explain how that is, because the Treaty of Algernon required the Federation not to develop or use cloaking device technology. And they have in the past on DS9, but it was under the supervision of a Romulan officer, and it was their actual cloaking device. So it was still in keeping with the treaty. Is there no more Treaty of Algernon? What, you know, is it because the Romulans and the Vulcans merged to become Navarre? Did the Treaty of Algernon go through it? They never said. We're left to assume what the story. Anyway, that's got to be it, because the Romulans are not enemies anymore, right? They're part of Navarre, so I guess that's it. I don't know. It would have been nice for them to say it. Anyway, despite the shuttle being cloaked, Book's ship detects the shuttle as soon as it latches onto his ship and starts to attack it with what looked like little nanobots that were kind of tearing the ship apart, the shuttle. And it's happening because Tarka installed a new security thing on Book's ship while they were on their way to get the isolinium, but he did it without telling Book, which of course makes perfect sense because he wouldn't have needed access codes or anything to make modifications to Book's systems, just like he just dropped the 2.0 Spore drive into a console and it just absorbed it, no codes needed, no nothing. Just makes complete sense, right? That he would be able to do this without Book knowing. And of course, the reason they wrote it so that he did it without Book knowing is so that Book can't be culpable for what he does with it, so that Book comes out squeaky clean regardless of what happens as a result of the use of this system, which is that Saru and Culber and a couple of the bridge officers almost die. The reason it doesn't happen that they die is because Book realizes he can disable this with an EMP, and that's the only way it can be disabled because, of course, Tarka designed it so that it was autonomous and couldn't be shut down. It's like I was saying before, they start with where they want to go or a situation they want to create, and they work backwards to see how they can make it make sense, and they come up with this stupid stuff that's just obvious contrivancy, and it just drives me insane. And I know that that's what they're doing because I've done it. When I've written stuff, when I was being lazy in the past, when I wasn't very good at writing, that's what I would do. I would say, okay, I want to have this situation occur, but there are certain things that would make that unlikely. So I have to work backwards and undo those things so that when you play it forward, we can get to that point and it makes logical sense. It's just that when you do that, you end up having to buy a bunch of bullshit where you go, really, that happened? And so you were that, and then the other thing, no, it's just contrivances, and they do it all the time, and it's terrible. So anyway, the EMP shuts it down, and Discovery's able to beam the crew of the shuttle to the bridge. And, they couldn't just beam them back at the outset because they couldn't get a lock or something because of the same system, and so it had to be the same. It was to create drama and tension and to imperil the shuttle crew, and make you bite your nails, and it's just stupid. Anyway, when Discovery is forced to jump itself into the DMA to again try to stop Book and Tarka, Nan informs Saru and Michael that she's authorized to take over the ship if Michael declines to enact a last resort plan that she is now disclosing to them, which can apparently be enacted against Book's ship in a way that Michael didn't know about, just like she didn't know about the new security measure. She didn't know about it because it only exists now that he has the new Spore drive installed, which she doesn't have any familiarity with his ship in that state. And of course, this would destroy the ship, including Book and Tarka, if they're not able to beam them out through the interference, which exists inside the DMA, and which would also destroy Discovery if they're not able to jump away in time, which apparently Starfleet feels is okay because billions of lives will still be saved by stopping them from deploying the isolytic weapon, which I don't understand because the only reason it would destroy Discovery, the way they explain it, is because the explosion of the bomb or whatever that Nan is talking about would detonate the isolytic weapon, which would kill the billions of lives, which is the whole reason they're trying to stop them from detonating it, or using it. So I didn't understand that. Anyway, Lorca tells Book that he's going to have to decide where he stands if Discovery gets in the way of their plan. And he also mentions that his plan has been in the work for 10 years, to get this power, which I don't understand, this power source, because I don't understand that. Given that the DMA has only been around a couple of weeks, like what? I don't know what that even meant. After a little cat and mouse between Book's ship and Discovery, Discovery finds the controller they've been looking for. Nan keeps insisting that they might have to blow up Book's ship, and she wants Discovery to be ready, so she seems to conjure up a ball of light in her hand, and she literally throws it towards one of the bridge crew and his console, and it just hits his console, and the plan that she was telling Michael and Saru about earlier appears on the guy's screen so that he can be ready to use it, which, who knew they could do that, right? They can just do anything. When the ships then jump around in front of each other trying to blow the DMA or block the DMA, respectively, Tarka gets upset that the warning shots Book has been firing aren't working, And he blasts Discovery with a full spread of quantum torpedoes, prompting Michael to accept the fact that it might be time to use the crazy plan that Nan has brought on, and she authorizes her officer to execute it if he's ordered to do so by Nan. But she, at the same time, tells Nan she's going to take a shuttlecraft and fly right up to Book's ship and talk to him because he's not answering hails, and try to explain to him that they've figured out that because the DMA is there mining boromite or whatever it is, and isn't probably going to leave until it mines it all, which is a complete guess. It might just be trying to get a certain amount, right? But anyway, that it's going to take them about a week to do that. It'll take the rig about a week to do that, and they have a week during which they can try to make first contact and get the species behind the DMA to call it off before anybody else gets hurt by it. And she tells him that if that doesn't work, then he can blow it up. And Starfleet will back his plan to do that. They won't get in the way anymore. Which is weird because using it would still be a violation of treaty. But that's okay. Predictably, though, Tarka doesn't like this, and he beams the isolytic weapon right into the DMA, and both ships have to jump away in order not to be destroyed. When the DMA is in fact destroyed, after which Tarka discovers the power source he needs that he thought was at the center of it isn't even in this part of the galaxy. Which, what? Like, where is it? Like, what? So he doesn't get the power source. It was all for nothing. The DMA is gone, yay. Nan says goodbye to Michael, and of course they're hugging, just like they did when they first saw each other again. She explains that she hasn't told her family yet that she's from the past, her relatives that are alive in this century. She hasn't told them she's from the past. Who cares? Anyway, next we see Saru consulting Culber about how to respond to Rina's social dinner invite, which is what she said he could maybe start doing to relax his mind or whatever. Because he feels that he can't handle the complexities of a relationship with her, given his other commitments, that he's trying to act as a guardian to Sokal, and he's got obligations on Discovery, and he's got obligations to his home world as a member of their council, and because of their different backgrounds. And Culber literally calls him an idiot. Stop being an idiot and go for it, which, okay, but it's a subplot that I'm not enjoying it, that's all. Anyway, right before the episode ends, we see that a new DMA has appeared right where the old one was. Which, of course, was entirely predictable because the first one was a piece of mining equipment that they used to mine a particular substance that they absolutely positively need, meaning that there's no way they only had one DMA in case it's got destroyed. Oh, we have to start over and build another one. Well, what if we run out of the thing before? Well, we all die. Of course they had two. So stupid. It's like 12-year-olds are writing the show. Now, there was some good stuff in this episode. When Book and Michael are playing cat and mouse with each other, trying to achieve their individual goals without hurting the other one, without hurting anyone that they care about. Michael trying to win the day for the Federation without hurting Book, maybe without hurting Tarka, and without her crew, anyone from her crew dying. And Book is trying to do this same thing where he takes out the DMA because he feels it's necessary. But he's also trying not to kill anyone on Discovery because he cares about them. So, and that's not an unrealistic situation. That's a realistic situation that people could find themselves in, although not in space, but And the way they were playing each other back and forth in order to challenge each other and try to get the better of the other one to achieve their goal, but at the same time not hurt the other one, was very cool to see, because it shows you that, Michael will go to great lengths to always try to save everybody, which is very Star Trek. It showed you that Book is a good person, that he's only doing this thing because he feels it's absolutely necessary to protect billions of people, and that he loves Michael and he likes his friends on Discovery, and he's trying to be as decent about it as possible. He's not doing it with reckless abandon. So I thought that was very cool. And another good thing they did was they showed that these two really have a relationship, because they were outmaneuvering each other by each of them using their knowledge of the other one, or trying to outmaneuver each other, or, you know, trying to work around each other's approaches to doing things that only the two of them could do with each other, because only the two of them know each other that well. So if it were someone else trying to get the better of Book, it wouldn't have gone the way it went. If it were someone else trying to get the better of Michael, it wouldn't have gone the way it went. So it was interesting to see that the characters really knew each other, and the writers here did a good job of painting that picture. So I have to give credit where credit is due. But the overall episode is just so dumb. The whole season is dumb. It's just, it's dumb. It's dumb. That's all there is to it. So I don't know. It's just bad. It looks like there are 2 episodes left to this season. At least according to IMDb, there are 11 episodes. That was the 9th. I thought, though, there might have been 13 for the season. So I don't know if they're just behind on updating IMDb. If we have 4 more left or 2 more. I kind of hope it's 4 more, because wrapping this up in 2 episodes will be, again, dumb. There's no way to do it well based on where they are. At least I don't think so. So it should really take another 3 or 4, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Either way, I, of course, will be back with my reviews of the remaining episodes of the season as they are released. Until the next video, my friends, I wish you peace and long life.